Hi everyone, how are you all? I am Rekha. Welcome to my channel Rekha's Knowledge Hub. Today we will see NCERT Class 6 Social Science Chapter 6 The Beginnings of Indian Civilization Part 2. I have already uploaded Part 1. Those who have not watched, please go through it. Town planning. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, now in Pakistan, were the first two cities of this civilization to be discovered. So, the first cities that archaeologists found from this civilization were Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, which are now in Pakistan. Their identification goes back to 1924, a century ago. They were discovered around 1924, which is about 100 years ago. So, the first cities that archaeologists found from this civilization were Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, which are now in Pakistan. They were discovered around 1924, which is about 100 years ago. Discovered means what? Found for the first time. What is identification? Recognizing. Identification means what? Recognizing. Then several sites followed in the Indus Plains, which is why the civilization was initially called Indus Valley Civilization. So after these two cities, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, many more places were found in the Indus River area. So in the beginning, this civilization was named Indus Valley Civilization. So, which modern country are Harappa and Mohenjo-daro located in today? Pakistan. What was the initial name of this civilization? Indus Valley Civilization. Then what is the year of identification of the first two cities? Harappa and Mohenjo-daro? 1924. Later on, other major cities such as Dholavira in Gujarat, Rakhigarhi in Haryana, Ganveriwala in the Kholistan Desert of Pakistan, and hundreds of smaller sites such as Lothal in Gujarat were discovered, some of them excavated. So later, many big cities like Dholavira, Rakhigarhi, Ganveriwala were found. Hundreds of small sites like Lothal were also found. Lothal in Gujarat. Some of these places were dug up by archaeologists. Excavated means what? Carefully dug to find old objects. So, some of these places were dug up by archaeologists. So, which state is the major city Dholavira located? In Gujarat. Which major city is located in Haryana? Rakhigarhi. Then, which Pakistani desert contains Ganveriwala? Kholistan. Such discoveries continue even today. Even today, such discoveries continue. It is interesting to note that the Saraswati Basin includes not only two major cities, Rakhigarhi and Ganveriwala, but also several smaller ones, Farmana in Haryana, Kalibangan in Rajasthan, and a few towns, Birana and Banawali, both in Haryana. Indeed, the map makes clear the high density of sites in that region. So, archaeologists are still finding new sites even now. The Saraswati Basin includes not only two major cities, Rakhigarhi and Ganveriwala, but also several smaller ones, Farmana in Haryana, Kalibangan in Rajasthan, and a few towns, Birana and Banawali, both in Haryana. The two big cities, Rakhigarhi and Ganveriwala, and many small towns and villages were found around the Saraswati River. Basin means what? The land around a river. The larger Harappan cities were built according to precise plans. The big Harappan cities were built very carefully and neatly using proper planning. They had wide streets which were often oriented to the cardinal directions. They had wide streets. The streets in the cities were wide. which were often oriented to the cardinal directions. That means many were built in the direction of north, south, east or west. Cardinal directions means north, south, east and west. So many of the streets were built in the direction of north, south, east and west. Most cities seem to have been surrounded by fortifications and had two distinct parts. The upper town, where the local elite probably lived, and the lower town, where common people lived. What do you mean by fortifications? A massive wall surrounding a settlement or city, generally for protective purposes. That is fortification. Fortification means what? Big protective walls. These big protective walls will protect the cities. So most cities seem to have been surrounded by fortifications. Most cities had big protective walls around them and had two distinct parts. The upper town where the local elite probably lived. What do you mean by elite? Here the word refers to the higher layers of the society, such as rulers, officials, administrators and often priests. So elite means very important or higher class people like rulers, officials, administrators, priests, etc. So in the upper town, the local elite where rich or important people lived. And the lower town where common people lived. Common people lived in the lower town. Rich or important people like rulers, they lived in the upper town. Some large buildings seem to have been used for collective purposes. For instance, warehouses where goods to be transported were stored. So, some big buildings were used for collective purposes, means for public needs, not for one family. They are used for collective purposes. For example, there were warehouses where goods were stored before sending them to other places. So, warehouses where goods to be transported were stored. They are public places. So, some big buildings were used for public needs. For example, warehouses. Individual houses of various sizes lined the streets and smaller lanes. Many houses of different sizes were built along the streets. But both small and large houses were made with the same good quality. Interestingly, the quality of construction was the same for small and big houses. Many houses of different sizes were built along the streets. But both small and large houses, they were made with the same quality. All those buildings were generally made of bricks. Most buildings were built using bricks. The purpose of some of the structures remains a matter of debate. That means we are still not sure why some buildings were made. This is the case of the famous Great Bath in Mohenjo-daro, a small but elaborate tank which measured about 12 by 7 meters and had waterproofing material such as natural bitumen, a form of tar, applied on top of carefully laid out bricks. So, one example of an unclear structure is the Great Bath in Mohenjo-daro. It was a pool or tank, small but very well built. A small but elaborate tank which measured about 12 by 7 meters. It was small but it was very well built. Elaborate means what? Detailed and carefully made. The tank was about 12 meters long and 7 meters wide. and had waterproofing material such as natural bitumen, a form of tar applied on top of carefully laid out bricks. They used waterproof materials like tar, bitumen, a form of tar, to make sure water did not leak. The tank was surrounded by small rooms, one of which contained a well. So around the great bath, there were many small rooms. One of these rooms had a well. There was a drain in one corner of the tank to empty it from time to time and refill it with fresh water. Why do you think a well was near the tank? To get clean water. So around the great bath, there were many small rooms. One of these rooms had a well. Then there was a drain in one corner of the tank. What was the purpose of that drain? This drain was used to remove old water and fill the tank again with fresh water. What was the purpose of such structure? Actually, we do not know exactly why the Great Bath was built. Archaeologists have proposed several possible interpretations. Archaeologists, they have proposed means what? They have suggested several possible interpretations. Interpretations means what? Explanations or ideas. So, archaeologists, they have suggested some ideas. A public bath for people. It may have been a public bath for everyone. A bath for the royal family only. It may have been only for the royal family. Or a tank used for religious rituals. It may have been used for religious rituals or holy ceremonies. So archaeologists, they have proposed, they have suggested several ideas regarding Great Bath. It may have been a public bath for everyone. It may have been only for royal family. It may have been used for religious rituals. The first interpretation is now ruled out because it turns out that in this city, most houses had individual bathrooms. So the first interpretation, that is the first idea that the Great Bath was a public bath for everyone, is now considered wrong. Why? Because archaeologists found that most houses already had their own bathrooms. If people had bathrooms in their homes, would they need a big public bath every day? No. That's why the first interpretation is now ruled out. Some pictures are given in the textbook. See, a wide street at Kalibangan, Rajasthan, in the lower town area. You have studied about this lower town area where common people lived. So this is a street at Kalibangan in the lower town area. Housing area in Dolavira with perpendicular streets in the middle town. Dolavira had three distinct zones, not two as in other cities. Also in this city, the foundations of most buildings were made with stones. So this is a picture of the housing area in Dolavira. In the city of Dolavira, the houses were built in an area where the streets were perpendicular. That means the roads, they met each other at right angles. This part of the city is called Middle Town. Middle Town. Dolavira had three distinct zones, not two as in other cities. Most Harappan cities, they had two parts, upper town and lower town. But Dolavira was special because it had three separate areas. So what makes Dolavira different from other Harappan cities? It had three zones. Then also in this city, the foundations of most buildings were made with stones. In Dolavira, the bottom part or the base of most buildings was made of stone, not bricks. So most buildings in Dholavira had stone foundations, making them very strong. See, this is the picture of Mohenjo-daro's Great Bath. Water management. The Harappans gave much importance to water management and cleanliness. So, the Harappan people, they cared a lot about saving water, that is water management, and keeping their city clean. So, they gave much importance to water management and cleanliness. They often had separate areas for bathing in their homes. Every Harappan house had its own bathroom. These were connected to a larger network of drains. These bathrooms were joined to a larger network of drains. Network of drains means what? A group of drains connected together. So, every Harappan house had its own bathroom. These bathrooms were joined to a big drainage system that carried wastewater out of the city. We generally ran below the streets and took the wastewater away. So these drains were built under the roads and they carry dirty water away from the city. See this picture, you can see a drainage system at Lothal, Gujarat. In Mohenjo-daro, people drew water from hundreds of wells made of bricks. So people in Mohenjo-daro, they took water from many wells which were made using bricks. But in other regions, it may have been from ponds, nearby streams or human-made reservoirs. In other Harappan places, people used ponds, streams or man-made water tanks or reservoirs to get water. Reservoirs means what? Big water storage tanks. So people in Mohenjo-daro took water from many wells which were made using bricks, but in other Harappan cities, people used ponds, streams or man-made water tanks or reservoirs to get water. Reservoir means a large natural or artificial place where water is stored. In the case of Dholavira in the Rana of Kutch in Gujarat, the largest reservoir measured 73 meters in length. In Dholavira, the biggest reservoir was 73 meters long, very huge. At Dholavira, at least 6 large reservoirs were built with stones or even cut into the rock. Dholavira had 6 big reservoirs. Some were made with stones and some were carved inside rocks. Cut into the rock means carved out of stones or hills. So, Dholavira had 6 big reservoirs, at least 6 large reservoirs. Some were made with stones, some were carved inside rocks. Most of them were connected through underground drains for efficient water harvesting and distribution. These reservoirs, they were connected by underground drains. And these underground drains help to collect water and send it to different parts of the city. Efficient water harvesting means what? Collecting rainwater. Distribution means sending water to many places. So these reservoirs were connected by underground drains which helped to collect water and send it to different parts of the city. See this picture? This is a picture of a large reservoir cut in the rock at Dholavira, measuring 33 meters in length. It is 33 meters long. Imagine the large number of workers required to build such a network of reservoirs. So, it must have taken many workers to build these huge water tanks. Who do you think organized their work and gave them precise instructions? So, someone must have been the leader to plan the work and guide the workers. How do you think they were paid for their labor? Hint, there was no money at that time in the way we have today. So, workers were not paid with money because money did not exist at that time. So, how might they have been rewarded? Maybe with food, grains, or goods. Since the reservoirs needed to be cleaned from time to time, was there some local authority to manage their maintenance? The tanks needed cleaning regularly, so there must have been a local leader or team who took care of this. So there were some local authority to manage their maintenance. What clues do we get from all these about the city's ruler and municipal administration? So from this information, we can guess that the city had a strong ruler and a good city management system like our modern municipality. Use your imagination and discuss with your teacher. Archaeologists also discuss these questions and the answers are not always final. So you think creatively and talk about your ideas in class. Even archaeologists are not completely sure. They are still studying and thinking about these questions. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. We will see you in the next video. Thank you.